Hello, JUSTJEM here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. It is new makeup time and it's been a while since I've done a new makeup video, and I ummed and ahed over sort of how far back to go, and then I kind of kept getting further and further back, and then I was like, well, that's not new makeup anymore. And then I considered doing a new makeup and then honourable mentions since I last did a new makeup, and then I decided against that too. So it's just new makeup. I went back and forth and then settled on what I always do. This one, I'm going to mention a new and an old, and I'll do a little swivel. And I'll stop my phone from vibrating. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the Sugarock Dark Dusk palette. I'm also going to mention Epic Edge because that does fall into that honourable mentions category that I mentioned, and Epic Edge is still available at the moment, so I'll talk about them together. Dark Dusk is the latest one, and that is the blue toned, like blue cool tone palette that Sugarock have done. And Epic Edge is the one before that, and it's rainbow-esque is narrowing it down too much. It's got a bit more to it than being a rainbow palette. It's just bright, it's bold, it's colourful. It's got some mixed tones in there, and I was tempted. I saw that. I think of all those Sugarock palettes, and for anyone who doesn't know, Sugarock are these super limited edition palettes in this really kind of unique packaging. And if someone were to describe the packaging as ugly, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with them. I think it's a very bold move. I'm not sure I'm convinced about the packaging, but at the same time it's one of the USPs of the palette. It's an odd one. So it's a chunky box that it comes in, but I'm hearing rumours that the latest release is prone to breakage, the box. And if you're paying as much as $153.99 or £114, you're not going to want your palette to break, are you? And the other thing I've heard is that in the Dark Dusk palette there's a black shade, and it's very, I want to say it's quite softly pressed as well as being very pigmented, so that's arriving damaged and it's getting into the other shades. And when you get a pigmented black like that and it gets into the other shades, it could potentially just ruin those shades. I don't know, if money were no object, I'd have picked up both of them by now, probably. However, they are very pricey, and I'm not averse to buying a pricey palette. I've bought Motherships in the past, never paid full price, and I've bought Danessa Myricks lightwork palettes, and I've bought Byredo palettes, so I'm not averse to spending a few bob on an eyeshadow palette. But there's something that kind of always seems to hold me back when it comes to checking out on a Sugarock palette, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I very, very nearly did with Epic Edge. I did. And looking at the two palettes, I do think probably Epic Edge is calling out to be it more. But I feel that Dark Dusk is potentially more user-friendly. It's more sort of monochromatic, and I think it's easier to kind of look at it. All the colours would go together without much thought. And I think with Epic Edge you might have to consider combinations a little bit more than you would with Dark Dusk. Will I get either of them? Watch this space. I mean, I'm on the clock because they're limited edition, and once they're gone, they're gone. There've been others in the series, they're sold out, they're not coming back. So I do have a little bit of time. I'm actually surprised that Epic Edge is still around. Will I actually go for it though? And it's not even something I could say, oh, maybe I'll wait for a sale, because I don't think they stick around long enough to be included in any sales. I know there are 12% discount codes if you go via Look Healthy, and I think that Look Healthy help you out more if it breaks in transit, or is it one retailer, I don't know if it's C Beauty Mall or Look Healthy, are a bit like, if it's broken, tough shit. Dark Dusk for, let's call it $154, and Epic Edge for $160. That's not to be sneezed at, and it does require careful consideration. It's not an outright no, but I suspect it's one of those things that by the time I get my act together and think, actually, do you know what, yes I want it, they'll be sold out. So, I'm tempted. I want to try the formula. I do want to try the formula. I don't know if I do it though. I don't know. Next up, now I've done a scratch that itch with that, and that's currently what's on my face, which is kind of half hidden. I've actually had this makeup on for approximately 12 hours now. I filmed this morning. I was in a bit of a mad rush and I haven't looked at the footage yet, so whether it makes it as an actual fully fledged scratch that itch video is yet to be determined, but it will come up the next video after this if it does. The Bella Beaute Bar X Freya palette, the Yin Yang collection, so I believe there's a palette and then there are 2, possibly 3 lip products. And the palette is $75 or about £57. It's not at Glisten yet, but I believe it should hit Glisten because they stock Bella Beaute Bar now. When this was teased, I almost wanted to want it because of the fact it is now more easily accessible and I can go via Glisten. And I can see that it's beautiful and I can wholeheartedly appreciate it. However, it's my usual complaint of the fact that it doesn't go deep enough for me, and I suspected that as soon as I saw it, and then I saw Deandra's swatches and it confirmed for me that for my personal preference it's not something that goes deep enough. And while I can look at it and I can appreciate it and I think it's a stunning looking palette, especially the shimmers that are included, it's only like the second half of the palette I feel that I would get use out of, like the second half and maybe the shimmers from the top half. But the mattes, I just feel like I'd have to work with them a little bit too much to kind of get what I would like. So it'd be a no for me. It's too expensive a palette. It's too much to spend like £57 on a palette where I'd only be content with maybe sort of 60% of the shades in there. Visually, like, I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. I think it is a beautiful palette, but it's just not very me. I wouldn't get enough use out of it. And for that price point, I'd want more. I'd want to be drawn to more of the palette, so it would be a no from me. But I'm watching Bella Beaute Bar. I've got 2 palettes from them now. Now I know how to use their formulas. I'm quite happy to buy more from them. But this one isn't really for me, and the lip products aren't really colours that I would reach for either. So beautiful collection, could definitely appreciate it, but it's a no from me. About Face, I'd been seeing this pop up and a few people had kind of shared it with me through DMs on Instagram. And you know when you sort of glance at something and you kind of think, what is this? What is it? And at first I didn't realise it was About Face, and I thought it was like some luxury high-end brand and product that was popping up. And I think that's partly why I kind of glossed over it and I didn't look at it more. But then it just kept popping up. It just kept being something that people were talking about. And I was like, right, let me look at this properly. And then I realised it was About Face. It's the Ballet Beam Highlighting Pearls, and they come in 2 shades. One's like a series of beams or pearls, whatever you want to call them, in a warm tone, and then the other are like these pastel shades. And from what I've seen, it's actually quite a small sort of compact, a square compact, and you can pick on individual pearls and like use them individually, but you can also just get a brush, sweep it across all of the pearls and apply it to your face. I'm tempted, because when I thought it was a high-end sort of luxury brand and I assumed the price would be eye-watering, I just glossed straight past it. But now that I know it's about face and they're actually only $24 each, I could be tempted. I could be tempted. And I think I'd go for the deeper one, like the warmer sort of rosier, goldeny, bronzy hues rather than the pastel tones. I imagine they would leave a cast on my face. Maybe not, I don't know, but I'm just more drawn to the warmer one. I believe in the UK, Space NK stocks about face, so I'll keep an eye out, and that's a maybe. Let's see, I mean, even if it's 24 quid, I could stretch to that. I'm intrigued enough to stretch to £24 to try those Ballet Beam highlighting pearls. They've also released these hollow sticks, and these are sort of dual-ended cream and powder eye combo with a holographic finish, and there's 6 different shades and they're $20 each. These look interesting. A lot of brands seem to be doing like these dual-end holographic stick type things, like Danessa's done it. Not necessarily all dual end. Danessa's done the dual end ones, but like these sort of beam sticks and highlighter sticks and gel sticks, they seem to be in at the moment. And again, I'd be curious, like I'd maybe buy 1 or 2. If they come to Space NK at the same time, I'd shove a couple in my basket with the beam highlighting pearls to try them out. I think they look quite interesting actually, and some of those holographic combos, they look quite nice. Let's see how much they are in pounds when they land at Space NK, but I could be tempted by those, I think. Yeah. Kryptein Cosmetics has launched the Supernova palette, and it's $72. I'm still yet to try Kryptein Cosmetics. They come out with palettes and I do like the look of them, and I'm probably imagining this, I'm sure it is actually straightforward, but it always seems like it's a bit of a faff to get hold of Kryptein Cosmetics palettes, which, I don't know, seems like an odd thing to say, because I could just go to Monolith and buy them from Monolith if I think buying it direct from Kryptein is a faff. And I don't really think it is. I feel like that's just an excuse almost to just not venture out and try a new brand that I could possibly end up falling in love with. I don't know. And the other thing, so this is like a square pan, no, not, they're round pans but instead of square format, but they've done the long format in the past, and I'm thinking, I don't like it when brands switch up their palette sizes. So are they going to be doing this format going forward, or are they going to go back to the other, like pick a format? I don't like it, you know. It took me a long time to be on board with the fact that Cosmic have now done 2 of those smaller, is it 12 pan palettes, and I do have Gothic. I don't think I'll get Angelic because for me it's too much like the Lovers, which for reasons I won't go into is not my favourite Cosmic palette, so I don't think I'd get an extension of it. But I just don't like it when brands switch up their formats. Does anyone else feel this way? I know it's very nitpicky, but it frustrates me. That would probably put me off, because if I then bought another Kryptein Cosmetics palette, would it be in the same format or in a different format? And the other thing that struck me about this is there's something Poison Garden-y about it. Like it's kind of Poison Garden's slightly less impressive little sister. Does anyone else see that? Let me know if you can see that. So I just don't think I would get it. Like, I was drawn to it originally, and then the more I studied it, the more I thought to myself, actually, a lot of the looks that I'd probably get from this, I'd get similar ones just from using Poison Garden. So I'd be quite happy to skip this one, and $72 would be a lot to dupe, or to almost dupe, Poison Garden. I think I do still want to try the brand, but nothing has made me want to go for the brand just yet. The shimmers do look pretty impressive though. I'm looking at it here on my phone, they do look nice. And I don't know, maybe if you find that you're not a fan of the Bella Beaute Bar formula, but you like Poison Garden and you actually like the Kryptein Cosmetics formula, this might be a good shout. But for me, it's probably not worth it. Sydney Grace has released these 2 palettes, and they're both neutral palettes, really, called Perfectly Blended, no, that's not right at all, Perfectly Balanced and Hot Mess. And they're $52 each, or you can get the bundle for $85. I know that there are affiliate codes knocking about and they can give you 15% off. I don't know if the 15% off would apply to that bundle though. Probably not, because it's already discounted. Sydney Grace is probably not a brand that I'm closely following at the moment. They haven't released anything in a while that's made me ooh or ah. They've just kind of been a bit safe. I think Sydney Grace is one of those brands that probably has its super loyal customer base, and that's kind of how they keep going, and this is the kind of the vibe, the feel I get from them. But I feel that Sydney Grace is very safe. Looking at these palettes, you know, one's just full on neutral and then the other one is a bit more of a spicy neutral, but they're not very exciting, and this comes from someone who is loving neutrals at the moment. I'm going through this extended phase. I don't know, maybe I'm old, I don't know, but I'm going through this phase where I'm really drawn to neutral palettes at the moment, and even given that, I'm looking at these 2 and I'm just thinking, boring. I don't know, there's just nothing really that pops out about either of these palettes. I think they've done better. Like I think they've done neutral with a pop better. Like I dug out, because when I was considering what I want to try to do now is every time I do a new release is do a corresponding scratch that itch. Don't know if I'll be able to keep up with that, but that's kind of the intention. So when I was trying to figure out what palette I wanted to scratch the itch of, I considered this and I was like, well, that's not really an itch I want to scratch, to be perfectly honest. But if I were going to, I probably would have scratched the itch with a different Sydney Grace palette, and it would have been Unbreakable Bond, which I think is superior. That's very washed out, hang on. See, this is the kind of neutral with a twist I can get on board with, and maybe it's just because it's got blue and it's a bit warmer, and that's the reason I'm drawn more to this than I am to Hot Mess. But at the same time, it's very samey. Like I wouldn't buy this and then jump to buy Perfectly Balanced or Hot Mess, because I think this gives me the feel I would get from both of them in just this one palette. It would be wholly unnecessary. I think there are other indie brands I would prioritise over Sydney Grace. That's not to say I'd never buy a Sydney Grace palette or a Sydney Grace collection of shadows ever again, because I can look at them and I can appreciate them, but nothing recently has grabbed me, and I think other indie brands are just doing things that are a bit more exciting than Sydney Grace is. So, I mean, they kind of caught my eye. I did kind of pause and stumble across them when I saw the teasers, and then when it was actually revealed, I was a bit like, oh, is that it? Yeah, okay. I don't know. I feel I want Sydney Grace to do something more, push the boundary a bit more, something a bit more Tiny Marvels-esque. I think so. And I don't know, maybe that's just my soft spot for Mel Thompson talking, I don't know, but I feel like that's the direction they kind of maybe need to revisit again. Tiny Marvels. Rose Metal, and this is a collaboration between Shine by Estee Cosmetics and Deandra Nicole. I think I'm going to get this because it's a black owned brand collabing with a black content creator, plus there's the fact that I actually like the collab. I think they're really interesting tones in that collection. Rose Metal, it's like that play on rose petal. I'm getting that directly from how Deandra described it, and I think they're really pretty tones, and I've seen the swatches on Deandra's arm, and I mean, if there was never really going to be a doubt on whether they would work on my skin tone. If they work on Deandra, they're going to work on me. And I've not tried the brand, and I've been meaning to try the brand, and as a collection of singles, this is probably the one that I'm most drawn to. I love the idea behind it, I love the execution, I love the shades. So yeah, this releases... Well, I'm supposed to upload this tomorrow. That might be a bit ambitious because this normally takes me a long time to edit by the time I've kind of spliced in all the pictures and stuff. But I'm hoping this is going to go up on Sunday, and if it does go up on Sunday, that's also the day that these singles, this Rose Metals bundle gets released. I have a... I think I should have a cost. I feel like I can hold that thought. $32.90 or $44.99 Canadian. So maybe that's... Well, normally it's $32.90 in dollars, and then it's the equivalent in pounds, which I don't think is horrendous. And it might be a little bit less, but I don't know what the shipping is going to be. That's the only thing. But I don't know, because I haven't been buying that much, I might just suck it up and pay the shipping, because I do want this bundle. I do. So that's a yes from me. Rose Metal, Shine by Estee, and Deandra Nicole. Yep. Jordana Ticia Cosmetics have released... Apparently they did some kind of viral neutral palette a few years back that everyone raved about. So they've brought it back, reimagined, but it's actually 3 separate neutral palettes. And a bit like the Sydney Grace release, despite the fact I'm in my neutral era, I'm a bit like, boring. So they've got Coffee Shop, Original Nudes, and do I not have the third one? No, why would I have taken a picture of the third one? But yeah, there's 3 of them, and they're all matte, so I don't see any shimmers in there. No. I think they caught my eye again in a similar way because they were kind of teasing it, and I liked the look of the packaging, but then when they were actually revealed, and again aesthetically they look quite nice, but they're a bunch of mattes like that I just wouldn't reach for. I'd want more. There's definitely like a market for these types of palettes for sure, but I'm not part of it. And did I see the pricing? Like, because I don't know what it is sometimes with these brands where they announce that they're going to be dropping a product, but they don't tell you how fucking much it's going to be. Like, well, yeah, great, hype it up, but how many pennies should I be putting aside for your product? That's it's like marketing 101. Tell me how much it's going to be. It's bizarre to me that you would tease a release, keep teasing a release, but not at any point say how much it's going to be. No, I'm looking for all the recent posts and not a single one has said how much. And I did comment on one of them saying, price? No one responded. Managed to get all 3 on TikTok for £40 thanks to vouchers. Okay, but how much are they individually? Okay, they're £22 each, and that was far too hard to find that price. I had to go to the website to find that. And you can get the bundle of all 3 for 50 quid. The packaging is nice, I'll give it that, but it's not for me. and they remind me of the Shades of London palette the Shades of London palettes that came out last year. That was also a trio, kind of similar, like warmish, mauvish, and cool toned. Like, it's quite funny how makeup has these trends. Like, I'm not saying that Jordana's ripped off Shades of London. They were probably in development at about the same time, but I just think it's quite funny that they followed quite a similar pattern. And I was put off the Shades of London one for a similar reason. I think each of those have only got 2 shimmers in, and I like a better ratio. I'm not saying 50-50. I think I'd at least want maybe 30 to 40% shimmers to mattes. The Shades of London was an easy pass for me. Half Magic and Euphoria collection. So the first thing I saw from this was the 6-pan shimmer palette. And that looks pretty. Is it worth $59 though? I don't know. I don't know. I think I'd want 6 more distinct shades than is in there for that price point. I feel that, I mean, I get it. You want it to be cohesive, but then when you've only got 6 shades, I'd want more variety. So like when I think, for example, about the rose metal shimmers, that's a nice range, whereas I feel that this is just, it's not enough of a range. I'm more drawn to the rose metal shimmers than I am the shimmers in this Euphoria palette. And I think I'd reach for the shimmers in rose metal more than I would this Euphoria palette. They do look nice though, I will give it that. They do look very, very pretty. But I'd rather spend less and get the rose metals shimmers that I like more. So it's a no-brainer. So it'd be a no for that bit. And then I did see, as I was going through, more of the collection revealed. There's a Euphoria and Half Magic, what's that saying? Flick Liquid Eyeliner, which is $26. Flick Eraser Makeup Correcting Pen, also $26. Bitch You're My Soulmate Extra Plush Lip Gloss, $24. Glitter Puck Pressed Fairy Dust for Eyes, Face and Body, $34. Self-Adhesive Face Gems, $15.50. Wing Magician Reusable Silicone Guide, $14. Actually, I probably could do with something like that. I suck at wings. Glitter Pill Glitter Eye Paint and Liner, $27. And the Beam Trap Skin Illuminating Balm, $26. So this is all coming out tomorrow. Can't say any of it's really jumping out at me. I think probably the thing that stands out the most would be that 6-pan palette. But as I say, and I guess this $10 per shade isn't horrendous either. It's not super expensive. It's not cheap, but it's not extortionate. But no, I'd rather get the rose metals, to be honest. Editing gem here. Despite having taken some notes on the Whatup Beauty release, I somehow completely forgot to actually film a segment on that release. They have come out with the Skyfire palette, and the inspiration is the Northern Lights. It seems that the Northern Lights are giving a lot of palettes inspiration, and that's available now for $49, and they did have a bundle for $85.80 where you could get that with Monsoon and the Dragon Eye palette, which I meant to do, and I spaced out completely and forgot to check out. And it's funny because I'm not overly disappointed. I do have Monsoon, and funnily enough, my intention was to get the palette and then do a giveaway with the spare Monsoon, so apologies guys, no giveaway incoming. I set a reminder and everything to get that bundle and just didn't. I couldn't even tell you how I managed that. I can't put my finger on it though. I think possibly, maybe subconsciously, I wasn't sold on the palette. It made me think of lots of palettes, but I couldn't pinpoint one specific palette necessarily that it reminded me of. The main one that jumped out to me was the Moonlight Muse palette from Artitude Cosmetics. And I think the subtlety there is that the Whatup Beauty one is a bit bolder, perhaps. There is a difference. There is a difference. And I ummed and ahed a little bit, and I think I would have discounted it completely if I did have Moonlight Muse. But I think the reason I was considering it is because I don't. And I don't know, maybe down the line I'll pick it up. If they ever do a bundle again and it's for that price, 85.80, then I think I will go for it. But now that I've seen it for that price, I wouldn't pay any more for that trio. I definitely was drawn to it. I think it's very beautiful. It's the kind of tones that I go for and I very much like. But that's why I'm thinking I must have a palette already that I own that's like that, but it's just not jumping out at me. I'll have to take some time and go through. And if I don't find one that I have that is very, very similar, or similar enough to satisfy me at least, then that could be something that I get down the line. But it's on hold for now because I did miss out on that deal. And last but not least, the Nomad release. And they've been teasing it, as they always do. They have a guessing game, which is always good fun. I think it's quite a nice way of doing a reveal, rather than sort of randomly teasing. There's a bit more to it, so I do quite like how Nomad does that. It's been quite apparent that the location is going to be Greece, and they've been focusing on ancient Greece, like that's the clues that have been popping out. And we've seen some of the shade reveals throughout the week, and I think I was already a yes, I'm not going to lie. And we've had the full reveal, and I think it's a beautiful colour story. Heavy focus on those kind of Greek blues, but then you've got a bit of gold in there. It's a nice variety with a touch of monochromaticism. Is that even a word? It is now, coined by Jem. I really like this colour story. I think this I was more drawn to and more instantly grabbed by than the La Boheme palette. I'm still tempted by it. I don't think La Boheme is one I'm going to end up picking up. I don't know, but there's Black Friday, isn't there? But then we've also just had a pretty decent sale. Earth Day just happened, and I was going to get the Cruise collection, but the all shimmer palette sold out pretty early on in the sale, and I thought to myself, I'm not buying it in bits. It's like all or nothing, so that's probably going to wait now until Black Friday. I don't think I'm going to pick it up. We've just had a sale where you could get 25% off. Why am I going to buy it now? I'm not going to do that. And again, I don't know if I'm going to pick up the Greek Odyssey palette when it's released on Monday, or if I'm going to just stick to my guns. Like my original plan was that I'd have my Nomad wish list throughout the year and I'd buy it all during Black Friday. I mean, that could end up being a lot of palettes that I buy, possibly. For now, I think it's just the Cruise collection and this Greek Odyssey. And I think I also said, I mean, I'm going to Greece. It's my birthday this year. Everyone's got a fucking birthday this year. What a ludicrous thing to say. It's a milestone birthday this year. And I'm going to Greece for 3 weeks with some friends of mine. And when I saw the theme, I was like, well, I'm getting this palette. I am. I just think it's going to be really cool to have something tangible that directly links to a celebration and something that I'm going to be doing. So yeah, I'm going to pick it up. I just don't know when. And it helps that it's a colour story that I think is a really pretty one. I really, really like the colour story there. I like the theming. Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board here. I'm just looking at it again here. Some they say it's like Peloponnese. I don't want to butcher these names, but that looks like a beautiful shade. And it's 50-50. It's 50% shimmers, 50% mattes. And it's funny, like I didn't even mean to make reference to that ratio before, but some might think that there's too many shimmers, but I think it works quite well. Yeah, I really like this. I really like this a lot. Sold. And do I have the details on this? I think I should, because there's more to it than just the palette. There's also a pH blush. No. And then a balm highlighter. The palette, Myth and Mediterranean, an epic spectrum of Hellenic hues from brilliant whites and volcanic island greys to the varied blues of the Aegean, vibrant multichromes and shimmers of sun-baked yellow, olive groves and Aphrodite pinks. The blush, a personalised bloom, pH reactive gel that melts into the skin, transforming upon contact with your natural warmth to reveal a custom soft pink tint. The highlighter, a lightweight gel formula infused with light-reflecting pink duochrome pearls for an ethereal glow. Can appear subtle or holographic depending on the lighting. And do I have the pricing here? Why have I cut the pricing off? Oh no, there's no pricing. How much are their 18 palettes normally? It's probably going to be about 50. I don't have the pricing, but if previous Nomad palette pricing is anything to go by, for an 18 palette like this, maybe $54 or $59. Yeah, see, Fairy Tale Europe was 59. Yeah, La Boheme was 59. Pacific Northwest was 59. Which City was 54, but I'm gonna go with 59 as my guess for this. And then for the blushes, blush slash highlighter, maybe they're 24 each. I'd go, that would be my guess. That would be my guess. I'll put, if while I'm editing, I can just find the actual prices. I can maybe put it on screen, but I don't think my guesses will be too far off. And I think I'll leave it at that, because those were the main things that stood out. I think there's one, well no, there's two definites, because I'm getting the Greek Odyssey palette. I just don't know when. So I'm definitely getting that, and I'm definitely going to get Rose Metals. But everything else would, like, not that fast. It popped out at me enough for me to give it a shout out, a mention in new makeup, but not enough to spend my hard-earned coin on. Is there anything from the past fortnight that's coming out or it has come out that you are going to be picking up? I'd really like to know. Are you going to get a Greek Odyssey? Were you happy with the reveal? Disappointed? How are you feeling about that? Any other things that I've missed that caught your eye? That, again, maybe it caught your eye but you're not getting it. But I feel like it was a bit of a slower fortnight, and I don't know, maybe it's just the time of year, but I don't know, I thought that maybe there'd be more spring releases. I don't know, maybe my finger's still not quite on the pulse, but I did feel like it was a bit of a lighter fortnight in comparison to other new makeup releases I've done in the past. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking for hours. There's just product after product. It's overwhelming. But I think that's a nice amount to wrap your head around. I'm going to try and do these fortnightly. That's kind of what I was doing before. Let's see. I'm still a bit up in the air about filming and when I'm back and all that kind of stuff. But let me see. Let me find my groove, find my flow. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. And hopefully I'll see you again in a video in a not too distant future. Take care. Bye.